Sure. Right. I can't.
Why loosen it?
Well, they're out of it right now. That's
Oh,
why
really?
we got
So
this.
much demand for it.
I don't know. I tried to get it before the meeting, and we haven't got our shipment in yet. I'm like, okay, that doesn't help the meeting. Where's the demand? That was at the council, and they asked. I don't know. Yeah, maybe they took it off. So is it nonprofit? Is nonprofits are needed? Oh, I don't know. Who else is the attorney on utilities in, and you're with the USD, what is it? What is it?
Yeah, so I help Allison with utilities.
Is anybody offended if I don't produce? I got a massage yesterday. You have to walk in. You have to walk in, then you take it off. But poor guy. I don't have a problem with it. It's nice when you can take it off. Well, at church, a Catholic, we finally been going back, and finally now they want it to be outside. Now everything's inside. 2 weeks ago, my senior said, hey, pastor said, all those who've been vaccinated, take your mask off. I like that. So we go to continue laughing at it, but nobody else did. Not wearing a mask.
So how did they do do they still give out?
Oh yeah, we've been giving out not the wine, the host. But it's interesting because they were outside. We went about a year plus ago. We didn't get we watched the Catholic Mass on television. And then for both you for ministers, we get a little wine and crackers. No, we thought, well, it's symbolic. They were doing it on television, we were doing it. And so we went inside, everything was sanitized, every other pew, and unless you were a family, you had 6 feet apart. And then 2 weeks later, the governor and the bishop said, that's it, we're done, we're outside. So we had this priest coming in that did English 8, 9:30, 11:15 on Sunday. He was an older gentleman, and we'd all be outside, assistant, he threw people out if you didn't wear a mask. He said, Eucharist, and I was reading it beside, I didn't stand. They had all kinds, all kinds of medication. And then the Eucharist ministers would have to sanitize their hands, get communion for themselves, and then sanitize again. And the priest was sanitizing everything. But since the seniors were going inside, the priest refuses to come down. He doesn't want to be inside. But a couple of windstorms, when they had to go in, he was flying around. Wow. He didn't drop you off yet. Yeah. It's nice to be back. So what have you been doing the last 48 hours? I like golf today. Oh my goodness. What a cute necklace. Oh, thanks. Is it a picture? No, it's just a heart. Kind of see through it. I said, why don't they have Anaheim sign it? They said they don't have any. They ran out. There you go. I'm sorry, Sharon. You can email. But yeah, I know you called me. I thought, well, that's unusual. I guess. Yeah. And I don't know where it went. I'm going to suggest you have these on Thursday so we can go to the market. Oh, how did we do this? Yeah. How did we do this? Maybe after lunchtime. See, the new kid always makes all the tomatoes.
We're actively eating or drinking after our rat nap.
I know. We were supposed to meet Todd last night. Todd and Matt for drinks at the White House. The last minute, his assistant called. He's sick. Oh, typical Todd. About the 4th time.
Really?
Oh, he's known. Yeah. He either cancels or he's late.
No.
You too.
Fine, she's doing
Amy's kids are graduating, so he's going to be on the phone.
It's nice to be having graduations this year too.
Yes.
disappointing.
Oh, for sure. Those are big things for kids. And
Oh, yeah.
even parents and
Proms and, you know,
all
all
that.
that.
Yeah.
Well, I can appreciate it. My last term on council, and I miss everything.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Oh, yeah. She's
Including the automobile. And Amanda says I'm out of here.
Yeah, even this year, some of the schools, at least the high school by us, they weren't having a prom, so parents got together and planned a prom.
Okay.
The canyon?
Yeah.
Good for them. Hey, Steve.
I didn't even recognize you down there until I heard your voice, and I was like, oh, hey.
What's the bald head and the big ears?
Interloping today.
Before we get started, I just want to test the audio. Can everyone on the call hear my voice? Mr. Vincent Baraldi, are you able to hear my voice?
Yep, I can hear you.
Perfect. And how about Mr. Ravnish? Are you able to hear?
Yes, I can.
Perfect. So I think everybody is here except for AB, our chairman. I think he has a graduation that he has to attend.
You did plan on calling in, so
Yeah.
I wonder if he's having technical difficulties.
Okay.
Real quick.
Maybe his kids decided, Dad, you're with us.
Give me just another minute to go back. And if I don't, we can go to the next step. Just message.
This conference will now be recorded.
All right, that was me.
There's one in every crowd.
I appreciate the warning, though.
Yeah.
A reminder that we have a hot mic in the room.
Chair, online.
Okay.
So I was expecting him to, that was his wish to call in and share the meeting, so give him just a minute or two, and then, if not, we just have a vice chair, Ben Baraldi, chair the meeting.
Time is standing still. That's how often we use. What department is on the 7th floor?
With the utility.
Oh, it's utility. You have the whole building perfect, except for fire. And,
Now it's with the city attorney.
all right, good night.
Okay, why don't we, move forward, and Vice Chair Baraldi?
Okay. Well, before we do that, we'd like to ask Vice Chair Baraldi, are you able to chair the meeting? Or are you in a position where you can chair the meeting?
I didn't have any of that information, so I was not prepared. Apologize for that.
So, will we
we can do is we can have a temporary chair elected, or we just do a nomination, and we can help guide them through the process. So maybe the first order of business is then to select a temporary chair.
Well, for the chair, I completely understand, Vice Chair Baroldi not being prepared to do that, but could we walk him through the agenda and just prompt him where needed?
However you would like to
Would
do
you
it.
be comfortable with that, Vice Chair Baroldi?
Absolutely. I just got to download the agenda. Give me just a second. I just walked back in my office. So bear with me.
No problem. Or we can just verbally go through the agenda with you.
Yeah, and I can grab it.
Okay.
Just 1 second. Okay. Vin, you sent that over yesterday, correct, sir?
Yes, we actually mailed a copy of that.
I had the, yeah, I got, but I have the copy here electronically. Let me just grab it.
Yeah, we can definitely try to resend that.
Vince, you want us to resend just so it's at the top of your email?
That'd be fantastic if you could.
Okay. Dan, do you want to do roll call before we get going, or do you want to wait?
Well, we'll follow. He has to call the meeting to order,
Okay.
Yeah, I got to call the meeting to order.
and then we go through the roll call.
You just pull it up there. I can read off this. The speed I could run home and grab it off my table.
Yeah, you get hold of the actual drive itself.
Doesn't it always happen when you lose the
Yeah.
control? Or that the shutdown, the system will shut down in 2 minutes.
See, this is what happens when I actually take something home and read it.
Oh, hold on, Vice Chair Baroldi, looks like AB just arrived.
Oh, perfect. Excellent. Go to save the day.
Save the day.
Next meeting.
Am I late for today? I thought it was 4 o'clock to 4:45, right?
3:45, AB.
Oh, that's
okay.
good. You guys just continue. Yes, no problem.
We're just getting started, so if you wouldn't mind still chairing the meeting, AB, we would really appreciate that.
Okay, you want me to chair the meeting? Is Mr. Bradley here?
Yes, we can start with roll call.
Okay.
So we have to call the meeting to order.
We call the meeting to order, okay.
Yes.
Well, AB, if you don't have the agenda in front of you, we can assist you with what's next.
No, I do have the agenda in front of me. Okay, I will call the underground subcommittee meeting to order. For public comment, we have to have written comments or?
Sorry, AB, before we get to that, we have to do a verbal roll call.
Okay, sure, go ahead.
Okay, I'm doing the attendance. AB, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Vincent Baroldi,
Here, present.
okay. Ravneesh,
Present.
okay. Lucille? Yes. Natalie? Yes. Okay.
We do have a quorum.
We do have a quorum.
All right, we do have a quorum.
And AB,
Okay.
I just wanted to let you know that we have with us, joining us here in the conference room is Mayor Pro Tem Cecil. We have the pleasure of his presence here also at the meeting. So I just wanted to let everyone on the subcommittee know that is online.
Perfect.
Hi, welcome, Mr. Faisal.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, I'm gonna move on the first agenda item, which is the public comment. Do you have to receive, when we do it like online, you have to receive a comment? I mean, like public comments written, submitted to the committee, or we just recall if there's any people present for any comments?
So far, no public member other than Mr. Fessel is in attendance. I do not believe we received electronic comments for this meeting, correct?
That's correct.
So seeing that there are no public comments, you can move to the next agenda item if you so desire.
Sure. Then, since there's no any public comments, we're gonna move to agenda item number 2, overview of the rules and guidelines of the underground subcommittee.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Seeing that we have a few new subcommittee members who have joined us over the last few months, we feel that it was prudent to provide a brief overview of the roles and responsibilities of the underground subcommittee. And essentially, the underground subcommittee is an advisory group that reviews and makes recommendations to add new projects to the program's 5-year plan. The subcommittee's role would also include monitoring progress of active undergrounding conversion projects, as well as overseeing the program's financials and advising on other related matters concerning the underground program. The subcommittee is comprised of 5 members, 3 from the Public Utilities Board and 2 from the Planning Commission. And the subcommittee meets quarterly and also follows the Brown Act requirements. Dan Ballin, who is our Deputy City Attorney, can speak more on the Brown Act if any of the subcommittee members have any questions pertaining to that topic.
So I'm going to do a very basic overview of the Brown Act because there's people with probably more experience with that than I do, more than they would probably would like. And so if the desire of the board, if the committee is to have a more in-depth one, I'd be happy to provide one at a future date. But again, this is a Brown Act committee. It's open, meaning that it's open to the public, but to do the normal 72 hours agenda notice. We can't have any discussion on any items on the agenda without no discussion of items not on the agenda, other than providing direction to staff, clarifications, comments, clarifications of asking for clarification of staff. One thing you always have to be mindful of, and again, I don't know how in depth I should get into this again, because I think all of you are probably aware of this, is just watch out for serial meetings violated whenever the majority discusses an item within the subject matter jurisdiction of the committee. That includes text messages, emails, social media, etc. So basically, the subcommittee is a Brown Act board. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them, and I would be happy to have a more in-depth discussion of it. We do not necessarily follow the Roberts rules. The board does follow the PUB board's rules of practice, which talks about voting, abstentions, nominations, election. But sort of,
I'm in meetings.
And so the key things to remember are just that every motion requires a first and second for a vote. We do roll call when we have teleconferencing, and whenever we adjourn, I know it's a pain and it's really formal, we do a first and second and we vote on adjournment. Otherwise, we're stuck in limbo here until we get an adjournment. But that's basically it. I didn't want to belabor it too much, but I'll be happy to do a more in-depth Brown Act presentation if that's the desire.
Okay, thank you, Dan. And this
Do you have?
Sorry.
Right. I guess I'm asking, do you have any question from the subcommittee members?
No. And I'd
Go ahead.
also like to, AB, I'd also like to welcome a new member of our subcommittee, Ms. Lucille Kring, a former council member, who is joining us as one of the representatives on the Planning Commission, who will now be as a member of our subcommittee. So welcome today.
Thank
and
you,
it's
Janet.
nice to have you here.
Thank you. Hi, AB. Congratulations to your twins' graduation.
Oh, thank you, Lucille, and welcome.
Thank you.
All right. Then we're going to move on. The third agenda item, approval of the minutes of the underground conversion subcommittee meeting of February 24th.
Natalie Meeks, I'll move approval.
Okay, second.
I'll second.
Okay, then we're going to do a roll call for a vote.
Yes. Natalie? Yes. Lucille?
Abstain, I wasn't here.
Oh, Ravneesh?
Aye.
Vincent?
Aye.
And AB?
Aye. Is motion carried?
Yes, the motion did carry, with 4 ayes and 1 abstention.
All right. Then we're going to move to agenda item number 4, presentation and approval of the proposed underground conversion 5-year plan for fiscal year 2021-2022.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good afternoon, subcommittee members. Tonight, I will be presenting the 2021-22 underground conversion 5-year plan for your recommendation to Public Utilities Board. The 5-year plan will provide an overview of our underground conversion program, as well as status updates to our active projects, and will also include the addition of a new project that the subcommittee had recommended in the previous meeting. They have the ability to see on the screen as well as.
Okay, so you might want to, as you're going through, talk about that, slide one.
For those that do not have the presentation in front of them, or who are not able to see the presentation, I'll just call out the page number for the slide that we're on, and any questions that anyone has, we can definitely answer those questions. So we're on slide number 2. A little bit about the history of the underground conversion program. It began in 1990 to underground utility lines that are along major thoroughfares. It's a 50-year program, so we're currently at the 31-year mark. The program is funded by a 4% underground surcharge that our customers typically see on their electric bill. To date, we have undergrounded 135 circuit miles out of the 240-mile target that we've identified. Slide number 3. As a customer-owned utility, reliability is extremely important. And so we try to find solutions to improve our electric infrastructure and operations to ensure that our Anaheim residents and customers have reliable electric service. Undergrounding plays a big role in improving electric reliability, as we've seen during windstorms or heavy rain and wildfires, how underground system has become more resilient. In addition, undergrounding also helps reduce outages that are caused by mechanical wounds and car hit poles. Undergrounding today is a little much different than it was in 1990. We now install automation equipment and advanced switches that helps our operators restore power more quickly and isolate the potential issues. Slide number 4. So looking at our program's financials, our cash balance is currently about $20 million. We have about $18.5 million that are committed to projects on Euclid, Santa Ana Canyon Road, and Royal Oak, as well as Eucalyptus. Based on our current 5-year plan, we have about $93 million for projects that are currently in the design or planning phases. Slide 5. This is a chart illustrating our current and projected cash flow. As previously mentioned, our cash balance as of March is about $20 million. Based on our projections and where some of the planned projects in our 5-year plan will start hitting the books, we are able to forecast out and adjust project timeframes where necessary to ensure that our cash flow stays positive, as well as ensuring that there will be sufficient funding for future projects that gets added to the 5-year plan. Slide 6. So looking at our active and planned projects currently under the 5-year plan, we have 5 projects: Lincoln, Dale, Euclid, Miraloma, and Orangewood, that are all electrically completed, and phone and cable TV are currently working to complete their undergrounding. We have 5 projects on Beach, Cerritos, Nutwood, Sycamore, Santa Ana Canyon Road, Royal Oak, and Eucalyptus that are all currently in various stages of design and or construction. And we have 6 projects: Ballbrookers, La Palma, Anaheim, La Palma East, La Palma Sunkist, Olive, Vermont, and Santa Ana State College that are all currently in the planning stage.
Can I ask you a question about that? I think this is great. I live off of Orangewood and Euclid, so mine's done. I'm really happy about that. But would it be more efficient just to take one section and do that? Or are we trying to spread it across so everybody gets a piece of the pie?
So we part of our, and we'll talk more about the criteria in going to proposing projects to the subcommittee for consideration, is that we try to allocate projects geographically throughout various council districts. So rather than just concentrating in one specific area, we try to allocate it throughout all council districts.
That's what I thought. That was equity.
Slide number 7. The primary focus of the program was mentioned to be focused on major roadways, but the program was previously enhanced to also include reliability considerations and non-arterials and collectors. The criteria, as Ms. Craig mentioned, established to select projects include engineering reliability considerations, coordination with other roadway projects such as a street widening or a grade separation project, aesthetic enhancements, geographic diversity, and available funding. These 5 criteria will help us in identifying and assessing potential candidate projects to bring to the subcommittee for future project consideration. Slide 8. So each year, we would start the 5-year plan cycle in August by providing the subcommittee with 12 candidate projects, 2 per council district for consideration. In November, the subcommittee will evaluate and select 6 out of those 12 projects, 1 per council district, for further consideration. In February, the subcommittee will consider selecting 1 or multiple projects to be added to the 5-year plan. And finally, in May, which we are today, staff will present the 5-year plan that will include the recommended project or projects. Slide number 9. Based on the program's project selection process and criteria, the Underground Subcommittee recommends a new project to be added to the 5-year plan for the Public Utilities Board's consideration. The Public Utilities Board then considers the 5-year plan and recommends the plan to City Council for final approval. Slide number 10. So in our previous meeting, the subcommittee have recommended to add 1 new project to the post 5-year plan. And this recommended project was the wildfire mitigation undergrounding in fire threat zones. Under the current Anaheim Public Utilities Wildfire Mitigation Plan, there were 7 remaining segments of overhead lines that are located within or adjacent to the various fire threat zones. Anaheim Public Utilities collaborated with Anaheim Fire and Rescue to apply for a FEMA grant to help offset the project's cost and accelerate the undergrounding of these lines. In February of 2021, a few months ago, the grant was approved for Anaheim to start the design and engineering phase for this undergrounding of these segments. The estimated project cost is about $10 million, and it will underground approximately 3.2 miles of overhead lines. The awarded budget from FEMA for the design phase is $1.1 million, It is a cost share grant where 75% of that cost share will come from FEMA, and in this case, it will be about $850,000, and the remaining 25% will come from the city underground fund, which is about $250,000. And this is just for the design phase of it. The construction will be contingent on the approval from FEMA for that second phase. How long it takes for FEMA to approve phase 2 is ultimately dependent on their schedule. We would try our best to submit our submittals and milestones to them, but ultimately we're at their mercy as far as scheduling and when they can get around to reviewing our project. This is a quick project plan. This is slide number 12. Quick project plan and timeline for phase 1 and 2 to project completion. So FEMA allocated 18 months for our phase 1 portion in order for us to complete the engineering design, environmental analysis, easement acquisitions, and community outreach. We are currently waiting on utility base maps to start our design, which should come within a week or two. Each individual deliverable for phase 1 can be submitted to Cal OES to send to FEMA once they are completed. That means that we don't have to wait for the entire package to be complete to submit at that time. We can submit as we complete each of these deliverables to help expedite the review process with FEMA. And it could be a matter of a few months, or in this case, it took us about a year to get the phase 1 approved. So hopefully it doesn't take that long, but hopefully, thinking that could be a few months before phase 2 can be approved. Slide number 13. So as part of our current 5-year plan, we would like to provide some project updates showing ongoing activities within each council district. Slide 14. In district number 1, we are working with telecommunication companies to remove their facilities on Lincoln and Dale. Only cable TV is currently left on those poles. One particular update on Beach Boulevard is that we have completed our undergrounding design and easement acquisition and are currently going through a construction permit review with Caltrans. Now, the reason why this project was a little delayed is because Caltrans is requiring us to go through a more intensive review process called the peer review rather than a typical encroachment permit. So this is because our undergrounding will be impacting the whole state highway versus a typical crossing that we've encountered in the previous project. So we estimate to hopefully start construction second quarter of 2022, but that's all ultimately contingent on Caltrans approval of our permit. Slide 15. In District 2, we have completed the undergrounding on Euclid Street. Poles have been topped down to telecommunication level, and we anticipate phone and cable TV to complete their undergrounding by winter of this year. We have one project in the planning stage on Ball Road from Brookhurst to Euclid. City Council previously approved the underground district formation of Nutwood and Cerritos. The limits of this project is located on Cerritos from Nutwood to Euclid and on Nutwood from Patella to Ball Road. The project will underground about 1.5 miles overhead lines, and the estimated cost is about $9.5 million, and it will underground high voltage electrical and telecommunications facilities as well as a railroad crossing. You can see in the photo that there's a heavy concentration of communication lines that are owned by AT&T, Spectrum. So we're currently working, coordinating with these companies to go through a joint trench opportunity to minimize the impact to the area, because it will reduce the amount of construction that's needed. The project will be closely coordinated with the adjacent elementary and high school schedule to minimize impact to the school's traffic. Slide 16. This is a before photo of Euclid, looking north, adjacent to Loera High School. The project undergrounded 1.3 miles of overhead lines and cost about $12.5 million. Construction took 2 years to complete, and final paving and striping has also been completed as well. The completion of this project means that all of Euclid is now undergrounded from south city limits to north city limits. And
the right side, no, the, when you cut up, the right side, those are, cable TV, those are coming down?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're working to underground their facility.
Okay.
as we speak.
And typically take about 18 months after our electric
Yeah.
is removed. It looks terrific.
And this is an after photo, slide 17 of the, of Euclid, once all the electrical lines have been removed and the road has been resurfaced and striped. There are remaining poles, as every member has pointed out, that still have communication lines, and they're currently working to underground those lines. Here's another before photo of Euclid facing north towards the railroad tracks. And this is the after photo, and you can see the quite a bit of a dramatic difference once the overhead lines have been removed.
What's the cross street?
This is just right north of Cerritos.
That's Cerritos, okay.
I'm sorry, south of Cerritos. So one of the benefits, slide number 20, one of the benefits of undergrounding is that it provides the opportunity to enhance roadway visibility by providing upgraded LED street lighting. This location is on Euclid, looking north, adjacent to the Anaheim Fire Station. As you can see, the street was quite dark and unevenly lit, and you can see that there's a big difference after we were able to fix the layout of the street lights to today's lighting standards, and where the lighting is more evenly distributed. One way you can kind of tell the difference is if you look at where the intersection is, where it says there's a wait here stenciled on the asphalt. The before photo you can barely make it out, but the after you can actually see the stenciling on the asphalt. Slide number 21. In District 3, we have a few projects that are currently in the planning stages on La Palma, Anaheim, and Santa Ana Street. We are in the design process on Sycamore. There is a planned street improvement project within the Sabina neighborhood, where Public Works is improving the various roadways and drainage. And the Sycamore undergrounding will be coordinated with our Public Works folks when this project goes out to construction. We're teaming up with them so that we can incorporate their scope into our scope, so that it will be one seamless project versus having two different projects happening at different times. Slide number 22, in District 4, we completed all electrical work on Orangewood, located between west of Harbor and Lewis. Phone and cable TV are currently working to underground their facilities, and final street paving by Public Works is currently in progress. We also have a few projects in planning on Vermont Olive and a segment of Santa Ana Street. Slide 23, within District 5, we are complete with the undergrounding for the majority of Mira Loma and Miller. There are some remaining telecom poles that cable TV is currently working to underground at the intersection of Miller and Mira Loma. We have a few projects that are in the planning stages, which include La Palma and Sunkist, as well as La Palma East and also Santa Ana Street. Slide 24. Within District 6, you can see now that we've added the wildfire mitigation underground project within fire threat zones. We also have a few projects in construction. One of those projects is Santa Ana Canyon Road and Royal Oak. This is separated into two phases just because of the complexity of the project. Phase 1 is our Royal Oak project, which is currently in construction. We're about 95% complete as far as the excavation is concerned, and currently we're working on installing the electrical facilities. This is a photo of the trench work that previously took place on Royal Oak, and you can see from the pole line at the very top of that hill where it made it really difficult for our crews to access during maintenance and emergency situations. So this undergrounding project will be able to eliminate that particular obstacle. Electrical cable and equipment installation are currently in progress, and we anticipate the project to be completed by July of this year. Phase 2 construction on Santa Ana Canyon Road have been awarded by City Council, and will be starting construction later this week. Also in construction is Eucalyptus. This project is part of our wildfire mitigation plan and is located within an extreme fire threat zone. Completion is estimated in June of 2021. Trenching and excavation within this roadway was quite challenging, as the roadway was very narrow and served as the only access path in and out of that area. So that required extremely close coordination with the residents, customers, and emergency services. In addition, we were able to utilize transformers with fire-resistant oil for this undergrounding project, which is less prone to fires. We have completed all electrical cutovers and are currently in the process of removing the overhead electrical facilities and topping the poles down to telecom level. So this project is fully energized on the underground system, and we essentially have removed the threat of potential wildfires being caused by electrical equipment. So on slide number 25, on all of our undergrounding projects, we try to ensure that customer engagement is one of our top priorities. We provide multiple levels of notification throughout various phases of the project and provide contact information so our customers can reach out to our project managers or inspectors directly to discuss any special accommodations that they may need. At the end of each project, we send out customer feedback surveys and use that information to improve on our next project. Slide 26. Speaking of customer feedback surveys, these are survey results received for the most recently completed underground conversion project on Euclid. Surveys were mailed to property owners and residents within the project limits, and we received 73 responses. Based on the results, 86% of those responses was overall satisfied with the project. Most of the comments that we have received mainly pertain to traffic delays, noise, and dust. So in order to mitigate some of those issues, we were able to coordinate with our Public Works Department to modify some of the traffic signal times at intersections, limit some of the work in heavy traffic areas, have some of the work performed at non-business hours, and have Public Works water trucks and street sweepers clean the area to address the dust issues. So tonight, there is a staff recommendation for subcommittee action, which is to consider the fiscal year 21-22 5-year plan and to the Public Utilities Board for their recommendation. If the action tonight moves forward, then the plan will be presented to PUB in June of 2021 for recommendation to City Council for approval in July. So that concludes our 5-year plan update and presentation, and welcome any questions that the subcommittee might have.
I have one question. On one of the early slides, you mentioned this is a 50-year plan, and we're in year 31, and so we're, 67% through the plan, but we're not 67% through the miles of circuits that we wanted to complete. Do we have an extension? I mean, are we have that in our thoughts moving forward?
Yeah. So we have identified projects that we have in our log that basically makes up that 240 circuit miles. It also depends on the length of the project. Let's say we elect to do a longer project, it takes a little longer to complete that project. So the years doesn't necessarily equate to the percentage of the miles completed. Some projects might have more circuit miles than others. So we try to not only complete the project in a timely manner, but also try to especially identify projects that maybe reduce the scope a little bit to speed it up a little bit. But it makes sense that if we are going to underground a section, we try to clear out as much overhead as possible. We wouldn't leave a little pocket. For example, Nutwood Cerritos, we wouldn't leave a pocket. Right at the intersection, we would try to take it beyond that. So we're actually extending the scope of our project.
Okay, if we needed to extend it beyond 50 years to finish the 240 circuit miles, does it just take a council action, or does it take a vote of the people, or?
It would have to take a council action.
Okay, but you could do that.
Council
Right. So
Okay.
when it was established in 1990, it was determined to be a 50-year program.
Uh-huh.
And
Right.
so when we
Fit
hit the
it in
50-year mark, we'll see kind of where we are percentage-wise on that 240 circuit miles.
Mhm.
And there too, of, some counselors have brought it, to expand the program.
Mhm.
So sometimes, that will then again add to the 50 years as well. So I think it was Councilman Brandon who had added to the program or asked us to find ways to add to the program. And that was a couple years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. But the 50-year, boundary wasn't addressed at that time. So I think as we do get closer, we'll probably have to, establish what the new
Yeah.
timeframe will
No, I
be.
mean, I think it's a great program. Until it's all undergrounded, you,
Yeah, so
hopefully you just
we're
keep
more
going.
into it 30 years now?
Yeah.
Plus the 31 years.
Yeah,
And just to
not
add,
quite, to your point, we're not 50%, no, 60% through it, so.
and just to add to Janet's point, originally the target mile was about 220. We actually, because of Councilman Brandon's request, we explored other avenues of identifying other projects, like for example, smaller roadways like collectors versus larger arterial. But we also run into instances where we're not getting cooperation from other utilities because of the smaller roadway. So I think that's how we went from 220 to 240, but without really, like what Janet mentioned, addressing the 50-year limit.
Okay.
We'll have to go back and actually read the council staff report there. At that time, was it a set 50 years or was it a prospect? That I'm not sure of.
Okay.
We'll research that.
Okay, well, I mean, you got time.
Yeah.
Take
a look at it.
Hopefully before.
Good question.
Yeah.
We haven't thought about that part yet. Too far out.
So see, when do I retire? No.
Actually, to Natalie's point, the people love it. So you're not gonna get any negative on extending it. But I think to Councilman Brandon's point, I think he wanted to do people's backyard. That, because in my backyard, we've got very heavy, all kinds of wires and things. And I think he wanted to have utilities consider some way of beautifying those neighbors' backyards.
Now, we do have in our Rule 20, an opportunity for folks to partake in real property line undergrounding. It requires working with your neighbors, and as such, because our funding is meant for larger roadways, these real property lines would have to be paid for by the property owners.
That was
For
the sticking point.
for the substructure.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's
But-
not cheap to do this.
Yeah, so as part of that, it is a challenge, but we do offer that program where the utility will pay for the electrical portion of that, the engineering and design, and the owners would just pay for the actual substructure of the conduit to do that. But there are some other restrictions as well, because you have those transformers that are up on those poles. It's gonna be difficult to locate them when we underground it, because now you have to worry about voltage issues, et cetera, because of the length of where the source is coming from.
Oh, the view's not that bad.
All of a sudden you like it.
Yeah, so the 240 circuit miles that have been identified are typically arterial, collector streets, major, heavily traveled, or heavily congested with overhead lines, which tend to be the heavily traveled. So once we get to that 240 mark, between now and then, there may be another council action to expand the program even more so. And of course, that would be a recommendation from committee, PUB, to council and whatnot, and then we follow that directive.
But Euclid is one of, Orangewood and Euclid are my main sources of egress and ingress. And what you've done at Euclid is just amazing. It's just so clean and so nice. And you had clouds in one, but no clouds in the other.
Unfortunately,
We made the clouds go away.
The rain.
Yeah.
All right, any other questions by the subcommittee members? Seem to me none. Okay, then since this is an action item, we need a motion to approve the underground conversion 5 years plan for fiscal year 21-22.
This is Natalie. I'll move approval.
And I'll second.
All right, then, looking for a roll call vote.
Okay. Natalie,
Yes.
Lucille,
Yes.
Ravneesh? Hello, Ravneesh? Vincent
Yes.
and Abby?
Aye.
Ravneesh, are you there? Can you hear us? Okay, we have a quorum, so.
Aye.
Was that him?
Ravneesh?
Yeah. Yes, that was me. Right.
Okay, how's your vote on item 4?
The approving the agenda for the last meeting. No, you talk about, yeah, I think Ravnish, he said that aye for the item number 4.
Okay.
That's a
That
yes?
is correct. Sorry, I had
Okay.
some issues. Yes, that is correct. Aye on item number 4.
Okay.
Thank you, Ravneesh.
It's appeared to me a motion carried.
Yes, so the
Yes.
vote is 5 ayes, no nays, and motion is carried.
Motion carried. Then the next meeting proposed on August 25th for the subcommittee, underground subcommittee. I'm going to move to item number 6, items by underground conversion staff.
I don't have any items that, but if there's any questions or if any of the members on the phone wants to go over further in detail any of the status of the current project or anything related related to our subcommittee meeting today, please feel free to reach out to us. I know this remote online teleconferencing is difficult and not the most efficient and effective way to present this information. But please extend any questions you have to Ben or myself, and we are very happy to answer that or walk you through any other information you want. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, then we're going to move to item number 7, which is items by underground conversion subcommittee members. Just start with Ms. Crane,
No questions.
Mr. Vala,
No questions.
Ms. Nick,
Nothing for me.
Bradley.
No questions for me.
Okay, I don't think any questions. Then we have to move to adjourn. I need a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll make the motion to adjourn. Lucille?
I'll second, Natalie.
Natalie second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'll give you a roll.
I think this is supposed to be by roll call. Sorry.
Jumping the gun here. I know, be mid-tower. Natalie?
Yes.
Lucille? Yes. Ravneesh?
Yes.
Okay. Vincent?
Aye.
And Abby?
Aye.
Thank you.
Adjourn, yeah.